You ready?
Yeah.
Do you think they're ready? We're not sharing that, are we?
Yeah, we can share it.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. The people like my spoon, and it's great. Oh, yeah.
I'm glad. Sorry, microphone. And camera, goodbye.
Right. Hi there, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. We are finally here.
Here, right here.
Specifically here.
On this swing.
On this specific spring, on this specific day, under these specific trees. You ready?
Yeah.
Do you think they're ready? First of all, if you haven't, this is not going to make sense if you didn't watch my life updates. So if you haven't, pause this here. Go watch this. I'll put the link in my bio so that you don't have to scrummage through a bunch of content. I'll also put this video at the end of that one so it's easy just to ba-dink, skibbity-doo, dunsies. So, coming from that video, essentially, this is kind of like, what is it, a part 2 of our life update, and just kind of bring you guys up to speed to where we are at, because life keeps changing and it feels like there was like this one narrative the whole time, and then it just switched up. So in the last one it was basically just all the feels and going through it.
Yes.
Right, first question. Why did the visa take long to process?
So we're talking about my visa for here.
Yes.
It's a very obvious answer if you're a South African, because you know Home Affairs. For those of you who aren't South African, there's just some things that just take a little bit of time in South Africa.
Longer than they themselves communicate.
Basically, I applied again the second time for this visa in July 2021 when my previous visa was running out. They were like, it's going to take 8 weeks or so.
So just a bit of context on that. We got married in 2019. Seth went onto the spousal visa very naturally. Was on it for 2 years. COVID hit obviously the next year, but was fine for another year because it was like, okay, well, I'm still on it, so all is well. And also obviously we were told it's 21 days of lockdown, and then everything will go back to normal. Not the case.
It didn't go back to normal.
Not quite.
Yeah.
So then eventually that visa expired, or it was about to expire, but unfortunately the Home Affairs was closed and there was zero communication on what was going on.
Yeah, and that's just typical of like government institutions in South Africa. No one to contact. If you do, it's very much pick up the phone, put the phone down before you can even say a word. So they say 8 weeks, it then isn't 8 weeks. And on my previous visa, I wasn't allowed to earn money in South Africa because I'm away from the UK. I'm only allowed to earn a certain amount of money per year because I haven't got the working visa here, which means I can't do my singular taxation law. But because of COVID, I haven't been in the UK, so I need to only earn a certain amount of money, otherwise I get in trouble for tax. It's a whole backstory, but basically governments sometimes suck on keeping up with things. Now it's like, do I face legal challenges and issues, and have I broken the law? And it's like, well, I'm kind of, my hands are tied. I don't have the money to...
And is it something we take seriously now, being in that time?
Yeah.
Or is it not as heavy because it's COVID, so there's
like
grace?
They understand, like, you know, and then like if I go home to the UK, it's like £3,000 for a hotel for 10 days, which has got rats in it, and I'll be separated from my wife for 2 years, and then that, you know, it's just like, so government stuff is just like ridiculous. It's genuinely ridiculous sometimes, and they always have this approach of like, well, you just need to do it. I can't just do it. So it just took long, and it just went on forever and ever and ever. So there's a backlog after COVID. So we were like, cool, let's try and make the UK thing happen. Then we hear about there's basically a court case that Home Affairs has been taken to court. They've lost that court case. Over 50,000 applications that haven't been sorted. They've been given 60 days to get those applications sorted. So now the pressure's on and it gets done. Basically taken long just because Home Affairs is Home Affairs plus COVID. So loads of people in the same boat. Yeah, even when I went to go and pick it up, there was loads of other people there that had been waiting for a long time as well. So we ended up waiting from July 2021 to November 2022.
Yeah.
So not 8 weeks.
It's like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. And then why couldn't we go to the UK sooner? Essentially, why were we stuck in South Africa and didn't just...
Hotels are expensive when it's during COVID. I think that's the main one, probably.
Yeah, that's
we would have gone earlier.
Issue.
And like COVID, like you have to have vaccinations.
Yes.
And it's this thing and that thing, just all the typical bureaucracy of this whole COVID situation. When we kind of found out that we could travel without having to pay for the COVID hotel thing, we went in January.
So we tried to go, I remember the goal was to try be there for our niece's first birthday, which was in November. Let's say this, originally our plan to go visit to the UK again was for 2020. Obviously what happened. And then it was like, cool, things are easing down now. Eventually the hotel quarantine settled and it was like, cool, all you need is a vaccine. It looked like all systems were go, and we're like, okay, cool, that's like we can make her first birthday since we couldn't be there when she was born and everything. So like, cool. First birthday, we're gonna go for that. November 13th, cool, that's our date. So we've got immigration lawyers, or we had immigration lawyers, and so we had emailed them trying to find out, like, listen, is it okay for us to travel to the UK? Is it possible? Are we good for it? I think at the time I had applied for my visitor's visa, so we were just trying to get then the confirmation from them that Seth is okay to go back since his passport had expired.
My visa,
Sorry, since his visa had expired, is he allowed to leave South Africa? They then got back to us and said, nope, you can't leave, you will be considered an undesirable person, you'll be banned from the country for 5 years, all these things. And yeah, okay. We need to stay put, we can't be going anywhere. But there's constantly information coming in and out, yes you can, no you can't, articles, blah blah blah. Also, at the time, we had an opportunity to go to Kenya to do some work there. So then, for me at least, the focus then came, it was okay, UK is on hold until further notice. But now we've got some work possibly in Kenya, we need solid information on whether or not Seth can leave the country. So that's what prompted me then to contact another immigration lawyer firm. And they had said, no, Seth can't leave the country. What has happened is the South African government has changed the laws, essentially giving people the grace period to basically go home. It's like, listen, it's been COVID, it's been tough times, everything's a bit up the chute, so you have the permission to go home. We've extended non-South Africans were then allowed to leave South Africa until like end of March.
It kept on moving like 100 times.
Yes.
And they always announced it like
a week before.
Yeah. There was even one point where they announced it so far after the previous deadline. So it's like March 2022, and then it was July 2022, and then they didn't announce that it was now March 23 until like December. So it was like a 4 or 5 month gap where there was just no announcement.
So then contacted them. These immigration lawyers said, no, he's good to go. He can leave the country as long as, I don't know if you were supposed to be back by March or whatever the case was. So then I was like, okay, great. So we can leave the country. My UK visa got approved for the November. So it would have been 2021. And it would have been in good time. So we contacted these people, let's say January of 2022. That's last year. And so things were lining up. Articles were confirming, Seth can leave the country, should be fine. So at the airport, just be like, here it is, I have applied. I was just going home and now I'm back, kind of thing. Cool. Now we're like, I think there was like one more thing that needed to be confirmed or something, because it wasn't like 100%. And then, unfortunately, we got the news that Seth's dad had suffered a stroke. At that point, it was like, right, we need to solidify all this information. Everything needs to be confirmed, and we need to go back. Obviously, it's been a rough time with COVID. Seth's dad stays by himself, and obviously just him not being in great health. Like, we want to be there. We want to see him. Been 2 years at that point. So
we got back, we had that time there, which was really good. But the plans were still hoping that the visa was going to come through. Came back to South Africa, then Dimple spoke about it in the last video. It was a rough time. We basically just decided, let's just hang up our boots with South Africa and go and try and make stuff work in the UK.
Still, there was no progress on your visa, nothing. There was no communication.
Nothing.
I applied then for my UK visa, another visitor's visa, and we had then decided, right, we're going to try and make the UK work now. South Africa, thank you, it's been fun. We love you and we'd love for this to work, but you're not working with us. And your tax things, everything was just becoming illegal and undoable.
It was like a matter of time until we get in trouble.
Yeah,
so we tried to make that move because we just thought like it's going to be much easier. There's a clearer process. We could see that there were still cons to it. So I'm self-employed. To be able to do a visa to help so that I can support Dimple, it needs to be based on my previous tax year of earnings, which is from April to April in the UK, and it needs to be UK-based income. But obviously, because of COVID, I've been in South Africa. So there's no way forwards in that front. So it's like, okay, well, we have to do the employed role and do a job for 6 months. It needs to be over a certain amount of money just in that job alone. But I didn't want to give up my businesses because they're the long-term plan. But then how do you juggle 2 businesses plus working average 40 hours a week, which is most people's working life anyway? It was like waking up 3:30 in the morning.
workouts.
Covering a half marathon a day on the shop floor, so it's quite physical and intense. But then getting home in the afternoon at about 4, half 4, long days to then go back as a zombie basically to my wife to be like, well, I've got other work to do, or I just want to sleep. And then on my days off from that job, we're then working in our other businesses. So it was a lot. And UK life was okay, but it was expensive. We were trying to save a lot because the visa for Dimple is expensive. And that kind of like, after 6 months, achieved what I needed to achieve. And then, yeah, South Africa said, your visa's ready to pick up.
Good.
So, I have my visa for South Africa. Slightly awkward, but also bloody fantastic. I've been pushing for the UK visa thing, and then I emailed Home Affairs again, and I've emailed them many times before, but I gave up because it was just hopeless. I emailed them 2 weeks ago, I got a response, and literally just checked my phone now. I was just sitting here thinking about life. We'd been speaking about South Africa earlier today. Thought, oh, let me check. And I was like, why check? What's the point? I was like, no, check. Checked, and it says that it's ready. It is a curveball. We have no idea what it means. There you go. And that was where we had to make a decision.
Yeah, so that was November last year, which we weren't expecting at all.
Because the thing is, South Africa was our plan. When we first got married, those few months before COVID, we had our own place, car, work was great. And then COVID just curveballed it all. Then go and live the drain life in the UK. And then this thing comes up as like an olive branch to us. Hey, that's an opportunity to go and live the life that we've been wanting to be living as a married couple. But then this just like becomes the problem for us in this decision making is they haven't said it's accepted. They've just said
it's processed.
It's been processed. I speak to a couple of different people that are also waiting for their spousal visas, and all of a sudden they've got theirs and it's been accepted. So I'm like, cool, there was a court case, 50,000 behind, 60 days to get it done.
Like you've delayed all these people's lives.
They probably just accepted all of them and just let people in.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, cool.
Also, there's no reason to reject it.
It should be fine, it should be easy. It's just a renewal of a spousal visa, which I've already filled the categories for.
Yes, that's actually the next question, is why did we both come back to South Africa to collect the visa?
So I had to come in person. Someone else can pick it up for you, but
risky
then
business.
In the past, I've had my passport lost in the post between South Africa and England. So to wait from July 2021 till then for a visa, for it to get lost in the post, it's just not a risk I was willing to take. The problem with the decision is if I do that, I basically give up my visa that I've fulfilled for Dimple to be with me in the UK.
Yeah, so the UK pursuits then are, what's the word?
Automatically cut off.
Yeah, just cancelled then.
Yeah.
Because you can't pursue both at the same time.
When I look at it, it's so ridiculous that we can't pursue both.
So it has to be like one or the other, one at a time. And that was the beauty of where we had been pre-COVID. Is that we were settled on like, okay, South Africa, we love it here, things are working great, let's get all the things sorted here, and then we'll look at, do we want to be in South Africa, do we want to be in the UK? We were just in a good space. I think aside from the very practical reason, we haven't seen our family or my side of the family in 6 months, so it was like great. Things seemed to just be like lining up really nicely, and everything made sense. So cool, we come back. I came back the 6th. Now this is where things will start to come together with my other video.
Yeah, at that point we are moving back to South Africa.
Yeah.
And we get here, I go and pick up my visa. So I get in there, I'm pretty like early in the line, and then the 3 people that go before me, all rejected. And I'm like, ooh, okay. Yeah. My theory of them all being accepted, not the case.
Yeah.
I get up there, sign the things. The lady gives me this piece of paper, doesn't even look at me. And this is what I got. I hope you can see it. This is my rejection letter for my spousal visa. The lady was like, yeah, no, they pretty much rejected everybody's visas just to get them done. Yeah, the opposite of what we thought it was going to be. 100%. And that was obviously gutting because now I can only be here in South Africa till April. Yeah, and it's kind of a curveball for us. We're making a plan, but we're not going to say exactly what it is yet because we're figuring it out, and we're making plans, and we're moving forwards. Like, we're super stable as a couple. We have a lot of peace about where we're at, regardless of visas. And that's been a huge development for us actually, which is amazing. Just learning that our stability has got to be outside of location. I think for lots of people it's always like stability is a house, a job, a mortgage, a car, so on and so on. God's been good to us in that sense that our stability is very personal between us and our covenant with him. It's very much like our stability is first and foremost here, regardless of the chaos that goes on around us. We have changed angle.
That we have. I guess though, in conclusion, and to round it all up, what God's been really clear about is us committing to both countries. It is something he said before, but I think with the past year has just made it that much clearer. And also like experientially, it's become more clear like what that looks like. Yes?
I was going to say, what's funny about that is when God gives Dimple like committing to both countries, what I hear from God separately is committing to neither country. So it's funny how God's saying the same thing to two different people who hear things differently.
Yeah, but we understand it the same.
Like we're committing to this bigger idea of businesses and family and our marriage and the community spaces that are based in places. Yeah, it's just funny how like, God is like so humble and kind that he speaks messages to us, but as we are. Because we just think so differently, but
100%. Yeah. I think I already said in conclusion.
Yeah, you did.
In more conclusion. We've learned to see the beauty of our lives and learned to see the beauty of what God has blessed us with in this marriage. Yeah. Because 100% it's so easy to be wrapped up around the difficulty that we didn't expect, and yes, we saw it day one in terms of like, okay, we want to get married. Okay, actually there's a lot more to just saying I do, which is why we had 4 weddings and things. We'll get to that story, it's coming. And I think we kind of went into marriage like, okay, this is really hard, but we can do it, and we did it. But I think we kind of also went to it like, great, now we're done, Seth's just gonna renew this one and then we're good, we're done with South Africa, not done with South Africa, but done with the bureaucracy of South Africa. The visa is sorted, Seth can now apply for permanent residency, and then like if we want to, we'll pursue the UK. So we thought of it like, hey, cool, like this is our plan, gonna make it do, great. And then all these crazy things have happened, but in it, again, God has shown us the beauty of what he's put together, which has been amazing because
we've been gifted such beautiful families and friends and
cultural differences of ourselves and our family and everything, even our different countries and their different quirks, and they each have beautiful things. And I don't know, the thing of people asking like, why don't you just stay here, or why don't you just stay there? I'm like, man,
miss so much.
There's so much beauty actually in committing to both.
Or neither.
Or neither. Guys, God has provided and God has spoken and God has like created a path specifically for us, has given us the chance to kind of figure things out and get to the point of realizing what his will is, pursuing that. I think it's seeing the beauty in all of that as well, and being in relationship with God, being in relationship with you, and us being a 3-chord strand. I was going to say string, but it can't be.
Right, in conclusion of the conclusion of the conclusion.
That is that right now we're in SA. We're loving it.
Yeah.
There are amazing things popping off. We are embracing it and just enjoying time with family. Yeah. We're going to Loteni next week, which is really exciting.
Oh, my favourite place.
I have also just literally a couple of hours ago submitted my visitor's visa. So we plan on visiting the UK around May time until around August time, and then come back and do like weddings and things. So this year is definitely going to be one of a little bit of South Africa, a little bit of the UK, and that's where we stand. I think at the moment we've got a plan until like November.
Yeah, we're going to try a couple of different things, and we'll update you as is appropriate, but we also don't want you to get confused, like, you know,
because they change so much.
Yeah. All we ask for is please pray. Dimple's visa coming through. If you're a person of faith, please pray. Like, we want that to come back, that it's okay that she can come to the UK, be with me, be with my family, we can enjoy that time together in the summer.
Yes.
Please pray that when we apply for things for South Africa, for me to come back, that it comes through, that things go well. Like, we would really, really appreciate that. Any support you can give, like, it's just off the charts and super appreciated. So
but I really appreciate you just coming through and watching. That's
exactly.
If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you've come all the way, now we are going to a rugby game in the next vlog, so you're going to want to come through for that. It's going to be such a good time.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was so much fun. See you later this week. Thank you guys. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for listening. I know we've got like a whole mouthful. I hope you had popcorn and some tea or something. Thank you for being part of our lives. Thank you for sharing in all of this with us. We love and appreciate you guys. See you next time. Have a good week. Bye. So this year is definitely going to... So this year... I can't say it.
This year.
So this year.
Yeah.
So I lost my train of thought.
Choo choo.
Let's go. There it goes.
Choo choo choo. That thought train's always leaving you.
It's always leaving.
Sorry. Rejection letter.